This weekend, they have a really big opportunity to just destroy bad opponents. It's time for this week's Three Notch Weekly preview. They're finishing out their home slate against two Georgia schools, the Georgia State Panthers and the Georgia Southern Eagles. First up will be a Thursday game against the Panthers. They come in 11-13 on the season, 5-7 in conference. However, they're 0-4 against top 100 KenPom teams. Jonas Hayes, the head coach of the Panthers, is in his second season, and they're led by Lucas Taylor, Dwan Odom. Odom, very used. He's one of the most highly used players in the Sun Belt, and he's also efficient, and he's been kind of the one, not the one, but a really big bright spot for Georgia State this season. But their offense doesn't match up well at all, and I think they may struggle to break 60 points.
This will be an interesting one. They've been okay, or at least a little better offensively because they don't turn it over in league play. But they're kind of, I feel like, inconsistent all around. Defensively, they're not great, but they somehow defend the three really well. But their defensive metrics are still terrible, despite being one of the 15 best 3-point defenses.
I love KenPom. Yeah. But do you think sometimes that, especially when you're looking at it at such a granular level with a 3-point shooting, it says they're really good at defending it? Have they just gone against teams that may have just had cold nights?
It's possible. I think there's something to probably good 3-point defense, but they're also getting cooked inside. So I don't know if teams are just bullying them inside and then taking contested threes or something for no reason. But their overall effective field goal percentage defense is just outside top 100 at 101. But they don't force any turnovers. They don't really block any shots. And
you're speaking the Duke's language.
That's not great. So it's one where I think JMU should be just fine because they kind of like to attack downhill and play a little recklessly at times. But if you're not forcing a lot of turnovers, that seems like a nice combo.
It might be the game where Terrence Edwards finally finds a rhythm, because he's been kind of iffy the last. I know his box score stats. When you stop watching the game and you look at the box score, he has a positive plus minus. I think he shot 50% against Akron and had 15 points. But man, sometimes it looks a little rough throughout the process. But this is a game where if he can drive and go downhill and just be a slasher, maybe he can refine that type of rhythm that he had early on in the season. I mean, it shows he hasn't really lost the rhythm. We're just being really nitpicky. He's one of the best players in the entire conference and can take over a game at any moment, except when he's going up against Justin Abson and App State. But this is the prototypical Edwards game.
This does. Yeah, the stats do really scream. They don't force turnovers and they're bad at guarding the rim, which is just his thing. It's just taking guys on and going to the rim. So it just seems like it should be a Terrence Edwards special.
Yeah. And then the next game, Georgia Southern, they come in with a 5-20 record. They're 5-7 in Sun Belt play. So they started the year 12?
Yeah, they started the year 0-12. Open conference play with a win.
Open conference play with a win. They've now lost their last 4, including their MAC game. So they finished the year winless against non-conference. And somehow in Sun Belt play, they're hovering right in the middle of the pack and might get a bye in the first round of the conference tournament because the Sun Belt is that strong of a basketball conference. Charlie Henry is in his first year. Would you chalk this up as a successful first year, not winning any non-conference games, but being very competitive in Sun Belt?
He's just building them for conference play, man. He just wants them to be ready when the battle comes.
Tyron Moore is really the only offensive threat. I believe he's the only player with a 100 offensive rating or better. I put down for the matchup to watch everything. Georgia Southern doesn't defend well. They don't play good offense. JMU should win by 30.
I don't know. They're a weird team because I don't think they're very good, but somehow they took App State to overtime recently. Probably should have won that game. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know what they're doing in conference play to be somewhat more competitive, but obviously they've found a way to at least be respectable. Maybe the Sun Bowl just sucks is part of it, but
yeah,
I don't know. If you're JMU, you're thinking you're probably going to win this one by 20 plus. That's got to be your mindset. KenPom's got them favored by 21. which is sort of the metric you need to look at too when you're talking about like improving your predictive metrics.
You
Like
got to win by more than 21.
covering that spread basically is like what'll do it. So you beat Georgia Southern by 2, like that's going to hurt your net and your Ken Palm and all that good stuff. If you beat them by 42, you're going to have a nice little burst forward. So it's one where if you can get up early, you kind of got to keep the starters in, I think, in some of these games down the stretch of the season and try to kind of blow some teams out.
Do you think Byington has that in the back of his mind? Do you think he's playing for the at-large at this point, or do you think
I
he's
don't
playing
think
for...
he is.
Okay.
But he also usually doesn't put walk-ons in until pretty late anyway in some of
Yeah.
these blowouts. So I don't think it'll change it much. But if I'm him, I'm talking to the walk-ons and I'm like,
Holman
if I put
Smith,
you in, if I put you in, I need you to go off.
Jarrell Pope, I need you to just chuck threes.